Today on the Tiny Truck Travel Series, we go from Sugar House Park to Canyon Hobbies. Canyon Hobbies has a well-stocked hobby store up front, and in back they have a very unique feature for micro crawlers and micro monster trucks. Here's a brief tour. Off to the left when you walk in, there's a micro monster truck arena, and then next is a well laid out and challenging mini rock crawler course. You actually have 4 of these mini rock crawler courses. Here's the second one, made of stone and blocks. Very challenging, very technical. Here's the third one, a little smaller, has a few challenging lines on it. And here's the fourth. This one's made to be portable to take to events. It's less challenging and good for a novice, which is, I believe, what they had in mind, so they can take it to their events and introduce new people to the hobby. They also have a pit area consisting of a couple of tables and numerous places for you to set out your rigs. Today I'll be driving my Ascent 18 and also my SCX24 with rear steer. We'll start out on the first table with the SCX24 to give you an idea what the crawling is like. They told me this table was made out of foam, like styrofoam packaging and things like that. Then they covered it with drywall mesh, like you use for sealing drywall joints. After that, they painted over it with a primer, and then I'm sure they added finishing touches to make it look so nice. Lots of good tones in this, and lots of greenery and things like that to add the realistic touch. This turned out to be my favorite table. The SCX24 has an OGRC servo in front. It's pretty heavy, and on top of that I did add some Pinewood Derby car weights. Not sure that was needed. Also has a Komodo motor in it that you can see spinning up front of the cab. I love the look of that. Got the Lizard Pro speed controller in here. I think it's a FMS servo on the back that I rewired to fit with the regular receiver. Might be an Emax, can't remember. This thing's actually set up all wrong. It was one of my very first builds. It has those crazy long double barrel shocks on the front and just a regular length shock on the back. And really I should either swap those or just put shorter shocks on the front too. When I get to the technical table, you'll see that this gets me in a lot of trouble over there. On this table it does just fine. The rear steer is going to come in very handy right here. You can see how tight this will turn. And it is pretty tight table at spots, so there are tons of different lines on this little space. They really thought this out and made a very good set of lines all throughout the course. Watch the back wheels here too. You'll see that I come to a little bit of a bump and I can't quite crawl over it, so I steer around it with the rear wheels. Then I hit another one, and I'll do the same thing. Just kind of scooch around it with the rear steer. Very handy for this type of little bit of thing that you just can't get over. A little bit of rear steer, and you're right around it. I'm trying to drive with one hand and film with the other, so the rear steer looks a little clunky from time to time. It's not one of those push button steers where it just snaps direction, even though it might look like that from time to time. Actually, I have a G7P radio, and it has a potentiometer just under the thumb behind the steering wheel. And I use that to do the turning, and it's worked very well. The knob under the thumb is actually pretty small and doesn't work well without a modification. I had just add a little bit of moldable plastic to it, and then it fits my thumb just fine. If you look at the videos on my channel, you'll see where I have a G7P modification video. So check that out if you got one of those. Now we'll run with the Ascent 18. This Ascent 18 is highly modified, and if you've seen my other videos, you've heard me describe it. Most unique aspect of it is it has a SCX24 transmission in it, and that makes the wheel speed about, I think 3.5 times the original speed. But I toned that down with the slow motion Pancake, and also used a 3S battery on it. So quite a unique combination. Haven't seen anybody else do that yet. You'll see with the bigger rig without rear steer that there's more backup and go forward that needs to happen to make these tight turns. And that's just fine. I don't mind doing that when I'm driving, but it's not a lot of fun to watch. By the way, that post right there was already broken. I know I hit it, but it was already broken. I didn't mention earlier, but to come crawl at Canyon Hobbies, they just charge $5. That's it. They told me to stay as long as I wanted, and I did. Had a lot of fun here for sure. I'm not going to show you all the tables this time because the video is getting a little long, but you're getting the idea about table 1. You can just spend a lot of time on that one and have a great time, even if that's the only table they had. But there's 3 more, and I'll make a video about them too. As I mentioned earlier, no rear steer on this one to help me crawl up and wiggle the rear end around, but a little momentum here is going to help me out just fine. Well, I hope you found this interesting. If you'd like to see the video about the rest of the tables, please go ahead and subscribe. Also upcoming, we'll be crawling on Chimney Rock and also Mini Moab. So I'll show you some of that too in upcoming videos. Be sure to check out the description. I will leave a link to Canyon Hobbies and also some information about the rigs I'm crawling today. Happy crawling.